New details are emerging in the Harry and Meghan paparazzi chase. We know that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were pursued by photographers Tuesday night after an awards event in New York City. The couple's team described the chase that ensued as near catastrophic. There's no comment coming from any of the royal palaces in the UK, but a taxi driver who picked up Harry and Meghan and Meghan's mother on that night is sharing his account with CNN, as we hear now from our own Max Foster.
I didn't feel like I was in danger, but Harry and Meghan, they look very nervous.
More than 25 years after the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, her son, Prince Harry, and his wife Meghan claim they were chased by paparazzi in what the couple's team is calling a near catastrophic car chase. Prince Harry, Meghan and her mother, Doria Ragland, attended the Women of Vision Awards at the Ziegfeld Ballroom in New York City. Meghan was honoured for her global advocacy to empower women and girls. But it wasn't until they left the event that things allegedly escalated. A local law enforcement source tells CNN a, quote, swarm of paparazzi followed them in cars, motorcycles and scooters. The convoy eventually went to the 19th precinct, where the couple waited until they could safely leave. Chris Sanchez, a member of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's security detail, says they switched cars more than once during the chase. They were first seen in a black car and then a yellow cab. The driver of that cab says he noticed the paparazzi before, as the couple's security guard started to tell him the address to drive to.
And as soon as he's about to say where they're going, all of a sudden the paparazzi just stormed the taxi.
He says he saw 6 paparazzis total.
When the paparazzi started taking pictures, I heard from the back, somebody said, "Oh my God," and then the look on their faces, you can tell that they were nervous and scared.
That's when the Sussex's bodyguard told him to return to the police precinct. The NYPD, who provided assistance to the Sussex's security team, says the paparazzi made the transport of Harry and Meghan challenging, but there were no reports of collisions, injuries or arrests. The couple's security team say the Duke and Duchess and their convoy were pursued by the paparazzi for more than 2 hours, allegedly resulting in multiple near collisions with other drivers, pedestrians and 2 NYPD officers. Adding the Sussexes, who were staying at a private residence on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, did not want to compromise the security of their friend's home. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has questioned the validity of that 2-hour time frame, but says nothing like this should ever happen in a city as dense as the Big Apple, calling the incident reckless and irresponsible.
You shouldn't be speeding anywhere, but this is a densely populated city. And I think all of us, I don't think there's many of us who don't recall how his mom died.
CNN's Max Foster reporting there. And I want to stay on this story and head to London and bring in CNN's Scott Mclean, who joins us now live. Scott, the photo agency who works with some of the photographers who were at the event that night has now given a statement. What are they saying?
Hey, Lynda. Yeah, so this agency is called Backgrid USA, and they said that they had 4 freelance photographers who were there that night and were part of this gaggle of paparazzi that was following Harry and Meghan around after this event. They said that there were no near collisions, as the Sussex camp has claimed. They also said that these photographers had a professional responsibility to actually be there. They said in a statement that their photographers, quote, were covering the couple's stay in New York City, including the possibility of a dinner after an awards ceremony. They had no intention of causing any distress or harm, as their only tool was their cameras. A few of the photos even show Meghan Markle smiling inside a cab. The photographers report that one of the 4 SUVs from Prince Harry's security escort was driving in a manner that could be perceived as reckless. Now, what's really interesting here, if you survey at least the print versions of some of the popular British tabloids in this country, like the Daily Mail, you will notice that the photos that they are actually using are not from these paparazzis. These were actually taken at the event itself because, of course, there was plenty of opportunity for photographers to get photos of the couple at this event. They posed for them. They were coming, they were going. There were plenty of opportunities there. The Daily Mail did actually have these photos published on their website until the Sussex version of events came out yesterday, and then they got promptly taken down. It seems like the British tabloids are in line with what the Sussexes are saying on this, which is summarized in part in their statement, which says dissemination of these images, given the ways in which they were obtained, encourages a highly intrusive practice that is dangerous to all involved. So obviously the British tabloids seem to be getting the message or agreeing with this message on this, but those photos are still up on at least one American celebrity gossip website. One other thing to mention, Lynda, and that is that surely in all of this there will be a revisiting or perhaps a new discussion about security for this couple in the United States or in the UK, where Prince Harry is actually fighting against a government ruling from the Home Office here, which took away his police security while he's here, since he's no longer a working royal. He's offered to pay for police security. The government's argument, though, is that this would set a new precedent for rich people to essentially pay for police protection, whereas others don't have the same luxury. Lynda?
Yeah, exactly. And interesting, we still haven't heard from the royal family in terms of any comment on this to date. Scott Mclean in London, good to have you with us. Thanks so much. Well, China says its military is no laughing matter. Coming up, the Communist government's crackdown on comedy and the army slogan that got this comedian into so much trouble.